before coming in to do this, so you'll have to bear with me if I'm not as prepared as I should be, but I think as you all know, I'm usually not at a loss for words, so. I don't know if that's good or bad, but anyway, it's me. So I am a certified public accountant, and I think that is a very important designation. It's not just because I went to college, it's because I am licensed and regulated by the state of Florida, or actually any state that I choose to do business in as a CPA. Now, I can do tax work without being a CPA. Tax work is not regulated. When I say that, income taxes are a little bit more risky and regulated, but let me tell you, payroll taxes, bookkeeping, those things are not regulated, and for the most part, your income tax is not regulated. Today I want to talk about several things that I really want you to be watching out for. If you don't choose me, that's your loss, but I don't care. I do care because it's your loss. But that's my mother. Just one thing I want you to understand about me. My mother told me all my life, Christina, nobody's ever going to pat your own back if you don't pat it yourself. And she always said, whatever you say, just make sure it's the truth. No brag, just fact. And that's what I'm going to give you today. So, I don't, I can tell you, I don't because I'll cry. So, but there is a young woman from Dundee, Florida, that has just been arrested for embezzling $140,000 of payroll taxes from her clients. She, I do not believe, is even an enrolled agent. Now let me tell you what an enrolled agent is. An enrolled agent is an income tax preparer that is trained by the IRS to think like the IRS and is licensed and regulated by the IRS. No other regulation. But the IRS doesn't look at what they do, honestly. Their work gets thrown into the same bucket of audit as anybody else. So they really do not regulate them. They just make them take a little bit more training every year to get their new certification as an enrolled agent. Payroll taxes, nobody regulates it. I mean, technically those taxes are due to the IRS, they're due to the state of Florida or whatever state you operate in. And they will come and get you, if you're not paying them. But as far as the person that's preparing those for you, they have very limited liability because you're going to have to take them to court and, then collecting from them. Unless they do get criminal charges, it's not, because only fraudulent actions cannot be eliminated in bankruptcy. So that's your only hope, and this person, did get arrested and hopefully will be convicted. If right now it's just charges, but if you want to know her name, Jenny Moore. And it's posted on my Twitter page if anybody wants to go. It's my first tweet at the top of my Twitter page, because I don't want people to forget, because this is what happens. Even if she's convicted, she goes to jail for 2 or 3 years. Guess what? She gets out, she goes anywhere, she starts over again because there is no regulation on her, unlike a certified public accountant. I am not only regulated by the state of Florida or whatever state I choose to function as a CPA, I'm also regulated. We have a national body that oversees us, and now you can opt to not be overseen by that body, but you're just not considered really terribly reputable if you're not a member of the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. So I just want to caution you today to be very, very careful in your choice of income tax preparer, payroll service company, and I provide payroll services to clients. One thing I do not do, I do not take possession of their payroll tax funds. I don't ever want a client to tell me or to have reason to think that I didn't pay over their payroll taxes. One or at least a couple of the really large companies take possession of your funds. They pay them in whatever your required schedule is, so they use your money while, and the bottom line is, if they use your money and they suddenly go under, and don't think that big companies don't go under, because we all know that they do, then you are still liable. So you want to make sure that you're monitoring your payroll tax deposits. You can get those from the IRS, you can call the IRS. The best thing you can do is to sign up for an account, EFTPS account if you haven't, and you can go on and you can see whenever a payment is made on your behalf, even if you're not making them directly. So just want to give you that today. The other thing I want to talk about is some of the scams that are going around. IRS will never, ever, ever call you on the phone unless you have gotten about 20,000 notices from them first. Well, at least 20. I like to exaggerate sometimes, but I do. But that they do not call you. So if you get a phone call saying, this is the Internal Revenue Service, we're going to sue you, file charges against you for not paying your taxes, everybody panics. Even though you file, even for the ones that have actually filed and paid their tax using CPAs, firms, they panic. Why? Because we all know that the IRS is very powerful, but they do not call you. If you are one of those people who are not doing what you should do, they'll show up at your door. Now then then you do need to worry. Then you want to be contacting me right away, but let's hope you're never one of those. But that's what they do. They don't call you on the phone. Now, the state of Florida, on the other hand, if you fail to timely file a payroll tax report or a sales tax report or fail to pay that tax, they will call you, and they're extremely threatening. I think it's illegal. It should be disallowed. They'll say we're going to issue a warrant. It's not a warrant for your arrest per se, although technically I guess when I read the instructions they could come out and arrest you, but mostly it's a warrant for possession of your property. So warrants are used not only to arrest criminals but to take possession of property. So just want you to be aware of that. And so and the thing with the state of Florida, it's a recorded message. They give you the message, they hang up. You cannot talk to a live person. When you call back, you don't know. Like myself, I have several companies. I got a phone call the other day, and I know I filed my stuff, but I also represent a lot of clients, so I don't know if it really was for me or what. And I've gotten nothing in the mail. Clients haven't called me and said they've gotten anything. So I don't even know where the call came from, because you cannot talk to them. So if you get one of those calls from the state of Florida, you probably do need to pay attention, because it might be legitimate. It could be that something's gotten lost in the mail. I'm sure all of you are in compliance on your payroll taxes, at least today you are. So those are some of the things I wanted to pass along to you. And one of the things that, let me go back to the difference between a CPA and an enrolled agent. As a CPA, again, I can do taxes without being regulated. But as a CPA, the income taxes that I have worked on and like to focus on are complex issues, because I know what the IRS will allow, because I do research. I have represented many people, taxpayers in IRS audits, so I've learned from experience as to what is allowed. If you are interviewing someone to be your income tax preparer or your accountant or whatever, you might want to talk to them. The things I would suggest that you ask them about is, what's your target business, what kind of revenues. If you go to someone that is focused on 50 million, 100 million, while we would all love to be grossing that kind of business, it's very unlikely that any of us are. Realistically, I've been in this business now for I've been in this business for over 40 years, so I kind of get a good feel for what businesses like ours produce. So if they're focused on that type of a business, it's probably not a good fit for you. Even if they're willing to be competitively priced, you're probably not going to get the attention and personal service that you deserve. So keep that in mind. Ask them what their preferred gross revenue range is. Talk to them about the type of clients that they service. Are they servicing smaller businesses like yours? Do they service other businesses? If you're a restaurant, do they service you as do they service other restaurants? Construction industry, do they have other construction industry clients? So just wanted to give you some heads up about that, and I appreciate it, and sorry if I didn't have everything put together. Christina Hansen, Accounting and Taxes.